Joining me now to discuss all of this, NBC News and MSNBC legal analyst Maya Wiley, who is also the incoming president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, and former Democratic Senator from California, Barbara Boxer. Thank you both for joining me. Maya, let me start with you. Let's get your reaction to Judge Carter's ruling today that former President Trump, quote, more likely than not, corruptly attempted to obstruct the joint session of Congress on January 6, 2021. What does this ruling mean for Trump legally? How big a deal is it?
Well, look, you said it at the beginning, at the top of this. It's not a ruling that has any impact on any criminal prosecution of Donald Trump. It has obviously a very important impact for the January 6th committee because it makes sure that they can get the documents that they're entitled to. No surprise that John Eastman lost that battle to keep these documents out of their hands. But it tells us something that any of us looking at this evidence would say, which is there is a pile of evidence that is exactly what the judges said. And it's out in public that Donald Trump repeatedly, week after week, day after day, having been told multiple times from his own White House counsel, from Vice President Pence's counsel, that he could not do and have what he was asking for, which was a disruption of the Electoral College count. You know, I think the importance of this is, frankly, it puts a lot more pressure on the Department of Justice and on Attorney General Merrick Garland to make clear that they are investigating. The Attorney General said that he would follow the evidence. Yes. And what this judge is really saying is the evidence is strong and there certainly merits a criminal investigation.
But Maya, you rightly point out that the evidence, a lot of this evidence is in plain sight, in public. You mentioned Merrick Garland. Where is Merrick Garland? Mark Meadows, who was on the other side of those Ginny Thomas texts, was referred to the Justice Department by Congress 3 months ago. Why hasn't there been any movement?
I can't answer that. I don't know that there hasn't been any movement. For all we know that there's a very quiet process underway. I certainly hope there is. But I certainly think it's going to be true that the American public is going to be very confused if there is not at some point some clear movement. There's no question that Mark Meadows has earned himself a contempt citation, should be taken to court for it. There's no question that Donald Trump has earned a criminal investigation. And we're hearing that increasingly from the January 6th committee itself. From Liz Cheney, this is not; these are not new statements, and we have heard that the committee is actively and aggressively still taking depositions, sometimes every day, and that tells us that there's a mound of evidence, and certainly the Department of Justice should be investigating as well.
Senator Boxer, you have suggested that there is a case for impeaching Justice Thomas, and I agree with you on that. But I want to read to you some comments by sitting Democratic senators on this. Amy Klobuchar said that this is a textbook case for recusing from January the 6th related cases. Senator Ron Wyden said Justice Thomas's conduct looks increasingly corrupt, but neither he nor Klobuchar nor any other Democratic senator has suggested impeachment. Why not? Why are Democrats going soft on Clarence Thomas? Feels like an open goal to me.
I don't know they're going soft. I think they're going careful. And I think we have a supreme scandal on our hands. And, you know, Maya is the one who is the legal beagle here. But I am, my son's a lawyer, my husband's a lawyer, my dad was a lawyer. But I read 2 citations today that I will share. They're very brief, okay? So this one is 28 U.S. Code Section 455. And this is what it says, and I'm quoting. Any justice shall disqualify himself in any proceeding in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned, or if his spouse has an interest that could be substantially affected by the proceeding. So by not recusing himself, Clarence Thomas has broken the law unless this law no longer applies. My understanding is it's still in the code. And then for Mrs. Thomas, if you look at the parts of the Constitution that deal with sedition, it says anyone who tries to delay the execution of any law of the United States is guilty of sedition. And that is 18 U.S. Code Section 2384. So I think we have a huge scandal on our hands. Point is, I think they've already, my opinion, just from what I know, and, there has to be an investigation. It looks to me like laws were broken. And so I would certainly not take impeachment off the table. Yeah.
Isn't the problem what you just cited about the conflicts of interest? All of that applies to federal judges, but Supreme Court justices aren't bound by the conflict of interest rules or the ethics guidelines that the rest of the federal judiciary are bound by, which means the only tool you have available to you as a senator or a member of Congress is impeachment, according to the Constitution. You can write a letter. I mean, Democrats are the masters of sternly worded letters. Do you think Clarence Thomas is going to say, Amy Klobuchar told me to recuse myself. OK, I'll do it. He's not.
No. What I read to you was directly from U.S. Code Section 455, in which it says any justice, judge, magistrate judge. So it does cover justices. Now, where we are with the Supremes, they don't have an ethics code, which is outrageous in and of itself. And I think, you can look to the Senate and the House, and we should, but we have to look to the Chief Justice of the court, because Chief Justice should immediately say, we need to have a vote and we need to abide by the ethics code. But honestly, what I read to you was the law, and it says justice. So it does cover the Supremes.
I guess it's an enforcement issue then. Maya, let me ask you about Ginny Thomas, because Senator Boxer just read out talked about sedition and the consequences she could face. What legal exposure do you think Ginny Thomas, a private citizen who is in writing, encouraging the overturning of the U.S. government, what legal consequences, what legal exposure could she face?
Well, it really depends on how the evidence turns out. Let's just be clear about that. There's no question that there's evidence of conspiracy. That means more than one person having an agreement to defraud the government, meaning stop it from doing its job, like counting electoral votes and sedition. And so if there is a conspiracy, and it looks like there's agreement to me between more than one person, and whether or not she is one of the people who is part of that agreement would then make her just as subject to criminal prosecution as anyone else in the conspiracy, as long as she took a step, an act in furtherance of it. But these are the things we don't know yet from the texts. We certainly know, and I couldn't agree more, that this is a person who is listening to falsehoods and conspiracy theories and apparently believing them in a way that is deeply disturbing. And that in and of itself is not illegal. So the question becomes what other actions, because being crazy is not illegal.
It's not illegal, but you have to wonder how her husband didn't know what she was up to, what she was saying, what she was planning. Maya, let's just change tack while I've got you here. Sorry, go on, make your point. Make your point about Clarence Thomas.
A really important point is Ginny Thomas has one of the texts specifically makes reference to her speaking with her best friend in her exchange with Mark Meadows about the fact that they weren't letting this go, meaning trying to ensure that Donald Trump stays in office. Yes. And she's known to have been referring to Clarence Thomas as her best friend. So the question is that evidence that they were having the discussion? It sounds like it may be, and it certainly merits an investigation.
We don't know for sure, obviously, but yes, she has referred to him in other exchanges in the past as her best friend. I guess that's something that needs to be investigated, as Senator Boxer pointed out. Before I go back to the Senator, Maya, quick question to you on another subject, just from your legal perspective, civil rights perspective. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Don't Say Gay bill into law today, surrounded by young children. Talk about politicizing kids. What is your reaction to that law that is passing in Florida?
This is just astoundingly destructive, disturbing, and frankly, a violation of some fundamental rights. I mean, certainly there's the First Amendment itself, how you can actually try to control what people say and how they think is just sort of core to our freedoms in this country. Yeah. And it's specifically because he has a disagreement, a political and ideological disagreement with people's identity. Well, frankly, that is something that we have to protect in this country if we're going to protect our democracy. And I think what is so disturbing about, go ahead.
Sorry, we're running out of time, so I'm going to jump in because I do want to ask one last question. Sorry, Maya. One last question to Senator Boxer. Talking of Florida, Matt Gaetz, congressman, on Saturday at the Trump rally, Senator, said that he wants to make Donald Trump Speaker of the House if Republicans win back the majority, which apparently they can do. Who knew? You don't have to be a member of the House to be Speaker. That's the latest crazy idea from the Republicans. Dangerous, some might argue. What do you make of that, Senator Boxer?
It's frightening as heck. I served in the House for 10 years, and we all know how powerful the Speaker's office is. They could actually pull it off, but I don't think it's going to happen. I have more faith. I mean, I keep saying that, and I keep praying that, that we have more faith. But I have to say, I just want to jump in here because I represent California, and we've been such a, we've moved ahead on civil rights for the LGBT community before anyone else. Yes. And we are so much the better for it. What Ron DeSantis is doing, I think, is a sin against God, because I think we're all God's children. Now, that's my free speech, and that's where I see it.
Well, we appreciate your free speech, which is why we like having you on. Senator Barbara Boxer, Maya Wiley, thank you both for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Hi, I'm Mehdi Hasan. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more of the Mehdi Hasan Show by clicking on any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thank you for watching.